My dad met Ashley 9 months after my mom passed. He told me that they were actually married, not just dating.
So her claim was that while she was pregnant with their daughter, he poisoned her through heavy metals.
They disproved all of the allegations like every other time, but that started the real problems between Ashley and Doug.
He's saying the neighbor came over, female neighbor. It was a domestic. She shot her husband.
On the docket tonight, the case of Ashley Benefield and Doug Benefield. She shot and killed him. We know that for sure. The question is, was it or was it not self-defense? For those of you not familiar with the story, here's more.
Everything was very normal. I had 2 loving parents.
That is 21-year-old Eva Benefield, reminiscing on what life was like with her parents, Doug and Renee. Eva lost her mother back in December of 2015 from an undiagnosed heart condition. From then on, her family life became unsettled. 9 months after her mother's death, Eva's father, Doug, met 24-year-old Ashley Byers, a ballerina and swimsuit model, and 2 weeks later, they were married.
He eventually fessed up and he said, yeah, so we're dating. The next day I met her and we picked her up from the hotel that she was staying at here in Charleston. And then the following day, it was a Sunday, he told me that they were actually married, not just dating.
Their marriage quickly began to deteriorate once Ashley became pregnant.
Shortly after that is when she starts all the drama of accusations, but that started the real problems between Ashley and Doug.
As Ashley and Doug's relationship became more and more strained, the two became embroiled in a bitter custody battle over their young daughter. They went to court to hash it all out, but Ashley went on to make a shocking accusation, claiming that Doug poisoned her while she was pregnant.
It was a dramatic accusation that involved days of testimony in court in Manatee County. We had nationally recognized experts that testified, and there was just no evidence at all.
It was an accusation the judge didn't believe, saying Ashley's story didn't possess a scintilla of truth. Despite the bitter conflict, Doug had been trying to work things out with Ashley, but the tensions between them grew. And on September 27th, 2020, it all came to a head.
She's with me now, quite upset. The weapon is here. We need the police before her mother and the little girl gets back from the park. I don't want them to find this.
Yeah.
You want me to go over and look at anything or just wait for the police?
No, I want you to just wait for the police, okay? So they were in an argument?
I don't know. She came in. She was quite hysterical. I didn't know who was banging on my door. Said that he attacked her and she shot him. They've been having trouble.
Ashley shot Doug with a .45 caliber handgun, an act that took the life of Eva's only surviving parent.
I mean, at first, it was really devastating, but I have a great support system. I have a lot of good friends and family.
Ashley claims she acted in self-defense, but prosecutors aren't buying it and have charged her with second-degree murder.
So Ashley Benefield was in court, had a full-blown hearing, a stand-your-ground hearing, trying to get immunization from these charges. It was denied by the judge, but it is on appeal right now. So again, trying to be immunized from having to face trial for the murder of Doug Benefield. We'll keep an eye on that, but she lost at the trial level in front of the judge. I want you to take a listen to Ashley Benefield here in one of their family law matters, their custody battle, describing examples of Doug's alleged aggressive behavior.
He came home from work early and I was in the bedroom and he came in and he immediately became very angry and started accusing me of not loving him and said that if I had loved him that I would have responded with a kissing emoji or a heart back. At one point, he had turned to walk away from me and he was standing in the opening of the closet and I was standing right on the outside of the closet and he turned around and he punched a hole through the wall with his fist. He pulled the gun out, I believe it was in his boot, and he pulled it out and he started waving it around. It was unholstered at the time. He then threw the gun facing me. It missed me. It hit the wall behind me, and it punched a large hole. He started screaming, and he told me that, this is a quote, that he was going to blow his brains out. And so I stopped, and I dropped to the floor, and I started crying, and I begged him to not shoot the gun. And he said that I was going to have to watch him shoot his brains out. And I was screaming and asking him not to. I told him I wouldn't leave. I was literally on my hands and knees. And he, I guess at some point, discharged the gun. I didn't see him aim it at the ceiling, but the bullet went into the ceiling.
All right, folks, the trial begins July 22nd, Florida versus Ashley Benefield. We are tracking it. We are on top of it. Let's bring back in our think tank, Dan Bremner, Rick King, Randy Kessler. Rick, we heard some testimony there from Ashley Benefield. We only heard the audio. We didn't get to see her. She lost that hearing. The judge there didn't believe anything she said. What are your thoughts? Because in this case, there's no witnesses. I think she has to tell her story if she wants to claim self-defense.
Oh, she absolutely has to tell her story. When she was telling that story, you know, what I was thinking really was, well, if these things happen, then there's going to be some sort of physical evidence that might show that. And I think it seems to me that likely the physical evidence didn't match up with the story that she was telling, because that would be the one way that you would disprove or discredit her story. I don't know what happened in that hearing, but apparently she was not believable.
Yeah, well, the judge, wasn't a jury, it was just a judge. The judge wasn't buying what she was selling. Randy, you know how those family law things go. That was the genesis of the recording that we heard. But she made allegations that her husband, Doug, was trying to poison her and the baby. There was no physical evidence of that. And I think that was part of the reason the judge didn't find her credible when she was making these allegations. What are your thoughts about her going to trial claiming self-defense here?
So, you know, in family law, which is civil trial, civil court, it's not as hard to get a restraining order, to get some relief, to get some protection. And, you know, and she didn't have that. So in the criminal case, she's got a higher burden. She's going to have to prove this. And gosh, I mean, I don't know how she proves stand your ground when it wasn't like a one act, like all of a sudden he's coming at her, she shoots him, defends herself, and runs away. I mean, that's exactly why the judge didn't grant the relief this time, because this was something she thought about. Just because your husband is abusive and you think he might hurt you doesn't give you the ability to plot and plan to shoot him. It has to be an immediate defense. And that's what I think, you know, it's going to be hard for her to convince a jury. And she is going to have to testify, Vinny. I think you're right. And explain to the jury, the reason I shot him is X. I bet her story's going to change. I bet her story's going to be, he was coming at me, it was imminent, I didn't think about it, I just reacted, boom. And that's what's going to happen at trial. And we'll see if she's convincing.
Ann?
You know, I just would think, she seems pretty sophisticated in going, even though she's got some pretty tall tales. But I would think she'd have a better story right now, frankly, if she's telling stories.
And she is free on bond right now. She's at home raising their child. In that case, again, coming.